All right, y'all. So we got more bad news for Joe Biden here. Got a bunch of new polls that came out, and unfortunately, it's telling the same story as the previous ones have been telling, or it may even be worse. So this is in Mediaite. Shock poll. Trump has biggest lead since 2015, as nearly half of Democrats don't want Biden as the nominee. All right, so let's go through this here. The latest New York Times Siena College poll showed bad signs for President Joe Biden this week, with Donald Trump pulling his biggest lead in the poll since 2015 and the president's party continuing to lose confidence in his candidacy. The latest New York Times Siena College national poll brought bad tidings for Democrats. The result showed 48% for Trump over Biden, who pulled in 43% of respondents, a major and telling 5-point lead. So let's be clear that this 5-point lead is the biggest one for Trump in this particular poll, New York Times Siena College national poll. So we're going to get to, in just a second, we'll get to like the average of polls, so you can get, a more broad picture of what's going on here. But for this poll, this is a historic Trump lead. Quote, that's the largest lead Mr. Trump has ever had in a Times Siena national poll. In fact, it's the largest lead Mr. Trump has held in a Times Siena or Times CBS poll since first running for president in 2015, says Nate Cohn at the New York Times. It's a significant blow for Biden as voters question the president's decisions on immigration and his handling of the Hamas-Israel war in Gaza. Moreover, Biden faces a lack of support from voters in his own party, with many expressing doubt over whether he should be the party's presidential nominee at all this November. So 46% of Democratic registered voters say Joe Biden should be the nominee. 45% say he should not be the nominee. And this is to say nothing of just the plethora of polls that's like, 70 some odd percent say he's too old to be president. 80 some odd percent, I think 86 or 83 was one of them, says he's too old to serve another term. So it's bad news on top of bad news within bad news. Recently, during the Michigan Democratic primary, over 100,000 Democrats in the state opted to vote for nobody rather than cast support for the president. Michigan is an essential swing state in the upcoming election that Biden won last time by less than 150,000 votes in 2020. And remember, Trump beat Hillary there by 10,000 votes. So you got 100,000 uncommitted. Biden's margin of victory was 150 last time. That means if just 51,000 stay home this time, on top of the ones that were uncommitted, who look like they might not vote for him, or maybe a lot of them won't vote for him, the margin is this slim, and that could be the end of Biden. Okay, so now let's look at the average, because maybe the average tells a different story. Trump versus Biden general election. Now the Real Clear Politics average has Trump up 2.3 percentage points. Trump is up 2.3 percentage points. Now, understand something, guys. In recent history for general elections, the Democrat has had to win by like 4 points in the popular vote in order to win the Electoral College. So there's this sort of built-in advantage for Republicans when it comes to the Electoral College system, or at least that's what it's been in recent history. And so trumping up 2.3 points really means he's up 6.3 points. Now, when you go to specific issues, it doesn't look any better for Biden. On immigration, Trump is preferred to Biden, plus 23. Economy. Trump is preferred, plus 20. Now, by the way, before we even continue with these numbers, let me just say, I don't even think some of this stuff is fair, right? Some of this stuff I think is just factually wrong. Like, for example, under Trump, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. Under Biden, we brought back 800,000 manufacturing jobs. You have the infrastructure bill. You have the CHIPS Act. You have the NLRB has been very pro-labor, which is something that it wasn't under Trump. It was quite the opposite. Biden got $15 minimum wage for federal contractors and employees, which helps like 500,000 workers. Project labor agreements. That helps hundreds of thousands of construction workers get higher pay. So like on the economy, I just think it's wrong to say Trump is better on the economy. Another example of a good policy is 15% corporate minimum tax rate, which was part of the IRA. It used to be these corporations would get away with paying nothing or even get a negative tax rate where they get a subsidy. Under Biden, we got a 15% corporate minimum tax rate. These things are good, right? But the perception among the public is, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Trump hasn't been here for a while, and we've had Biden for a while, so I don't know. I guess we prefer Trump. That's what the electorate is saying. Plus 20 for Trump on the economy. Which, by the way, so on that front, it's literally just a messaging fail from Democrats, right? It's a messaging fail. If you went out there and said, we brought back 800,000 manufacturing jobs, he lost 200,000, and just bash that into people's skulls, then eventually it'd be like, well, of course Biden's better on the economy, and that number would change a little bit. Now, by the way, that's not me saying everything about the economy. Of course not. You still have a tremendous number of people living paycheck to paycheck and real systemic issues that have yet to be addressed. But as bad as they are under Biden, they were worse under Trump. But plus 20, Trump is on the economy. On crime, Trump is plus 18. On foreign policy, Trump is plus 15. Healthcare, Trump is plus 2. The guy who wants to get rid of Obamacare and kick millions of people off of Medicaid, Trump is plus 2 on healthcare. Social Security, Trump plus 2. Medicare, Trump plus 1. The only issue that Biden is up is abortion. And it's only Biden plus 4. Look, I said it before, I'll say it again. We're at the point now where I'm actively in favor of the DNC swapping out Biden. Biden can give a speech at the DNC, say, I did my part, I'm stepping down, and they pick somebody else, anybody else. I mean, there's obviously people I would prefer more than others, but at this point, I'll take anybody over Biden because now it's just a perception problem that he's genuinely really old and his brain is really not working well, and he's arming and funding and facilitating a genocide, and it's hard to come back from all those things. It's hard to come back. Now, the final point I'll make is this. These polls are horrible for Biden, horrible. But let's also understand the fact that in every single contest to this point, every single election to this point, primary election, Trump has consistently underperformed the polls by large numbers. The smallest number he underperformed the poll was 7%. That was in one of the early contests. I don't know if it was Iowa or New Hampshire. And then in Michigan, he underperformed the polls by 10 percentage points. So the fact of the matter is, it's actually true that support for Trump is overstated in these polls. It's true. I think that's accurate. But like I said, with Trump being up about 6 points, you're literally right on the razor's edge for if Biden could beat him. Right on the razor's edge. So do you really want to roll the dice with that? I don't. And we all know, we've seen the polls where a generic Democrat beats Trump by 13 points. So it's just, this is the least safe bet you can make on Biden. And so I think the DNC should replace him. And honestly, I think at this point they're considering it. Because now you've had a lot of the stalwart defenders of the Biden administration, they've come out and they've sounded the alarm too. And they're saying red flags all over the place. People like Ezra Klein and Nate Silver, the real data-driven, more establishment-friendly Democrats, they're like, okay, panic time. And so with that being the case, anything could happen in the future. But if we really get into this election where it's Trump and Biden, it really is a who do you hate least election, where Trump's got the 91 criminal charges. Trump tried to overthrow the last election. He's viewed as an extremist. He's pissed off the entire country on the Roe versus Wade stuff, the abortion stuff, the Supreme Court stuff. So that's his weakness. That's his Achilles heel. Biden's Achilles heel is obviously his age and his lack of cognitive function and the fact that he's arming and funding a genocide. But this is a real race to the bottom if I've ever seen one. And like I said, poll after poll now, we're getting historic Trump leads. That's nothing to scoff at. Even with the polls having, for whatever reason, I don't know why it is, a built-in pro-Trump bias. We've seen that in every primary to this point. He's underperforming. Even with that, we're right on the razor's edge of what can happen in this election, and that's a terrifying thought. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.